My day began like any other morning, sunlight filtering through the blinds as I stumbled into the kitchen, half awake and craving coffee. The faint aroma of freshly brewed coffee filled the air, a comforting routine in our bustling household. As I reached for a mug, my eyes fell upon her laptop perched on the edge of the kitchen counter. It was innocently left open, its screen glowing softly in the dim morning light. Curiosity piqued. I leaned closer and noticed the screen was filled with vibrant images of decadent desserts, rich chocolate cakes adorned with raspberries, delicate macarons in pastel hues, and perfectly sculpted tarts dusted with powdered sugar. Each photo was a masterpiece, capturing not only the artistry of baking, but also the passion she poured into her culinary creations. I paused, captivated not just by the visual feast before me, but by the realization that something about this scene felt different today. Perhaps it was the way she had been spending more time lately, meticulously documenting recipes and engaging with an online community that shared her fervor for cooking. Or maybe it was the subtle shift in her demeanor, a fleeting distraction in her eyes whenever she scrolled through comments or typed rapid responses. I sipped my coffee, contemplating the laptop screen as if it held secrets beyond its glossy surface. It wasn't mere curiosity that drew me in, but a growing unease, a whisper of suspicion that lingered in the periphery of my thoughts. Was it just my imagination, or was there something more behind her newfound enthusiasm for her blog? With a sigh, I closed the laptop gently, careful not to disturb its delicate balance on the countertop. The images of those tantalizing desserts lingered in my mind, now tinged with a hint of uncertainty. Today, as the sun rose higher and the day unfolded before me, I couldn't shake the feeling that behind those delectable treats lay a story I hadn't yet uncovered, a story that would unravel not just in the kitchen, but in the depths of our relationship as well. Ever since I've known her, Sarah has had a passion for cooking that transcends the ordinary. It's not just about preparing meals. It's a creative expression, an art form that she nurtures with every ingredient and every dish she crafts. Her dream, though, was always more than just cooking for our family or entertaining friends at dinner parties. She yearned to share her culinary journey with the world and to inspire others with her recipes and the stories behind them. That dream took shape in the form of her own culinary blog, a virtual haven where she poured her heart into every post. The blog wasn't just a collection of recipes, it was a reflection of Sarah's life. Each entry was infused with her warmth and passion, whether she was recreating a cherished family recipe passed down through generations or experimenting with bold flavors inspired by our travels. Her writing was intimate yet inviting, drawing readers into her kitchen and making them feel like part of her culinary adventure. I watched with pride as her blog grew, gaining followers who eagerly awaited her latest creations. Sarah spent hours perfecting each recipe, photographing every dish with meticulous care to capture its essence. Her blog became a sanctuary where she could connect with fellow food enthusiasts, sharing not only her love for cooking, but also the stories and memories that shaped her culinary identity. Yet, amidst the joy of seeing her passion flourish, I couldn't help but wonder if her dedication to the blog had begun to overshadow other aspects of our lives together. As Sarah poured more of herself into her online persona, I couldn't shake the nagging question, was there something or someone else behind her growing obsession with the blog? It was at a bustling local culinary event that Sarah first met Chris. I remember that evening vividly. The aroma of freshly baked bread mingled with the chatter of chefs showcasing their latest creations. Sarah was in her element, navigating the crowd with a confidence that comes from true passion. I noticed her talking animatedly with a group near a display of artisanal cheeses when Chris entered the scene. Tall and effortlessly charming, he exuded a magnetic energy that drew people in. He was a fellow blogger, his own culinary adventures documented with flair and expertise. Sarah's eyes lit up as they exchanged introductions, instantly bonding over their shared love for food and blogging. Chris was quick-witted and knowledgeable, effortlessly engaging Sarah in discussions about the latest food trends and techniques. They seemed to share a natural chemistry, their laughter ringing out amidst the culinary symphony around them. I watched from a distance, initially glad to see Sarah connecting with someone who shared her passion. As the evening progressed, Sarah and Chris continued to talk, their conversation flowing seamlessly from recipes to restaurant recommendations. I couldn't deny the pang of unease that crept into my thoughts. There was something about the way Chris looked at Sarah, a subtle admiration mixed with something more elusive that left me unsettled. That night, as we drove home through the quiet streets, Sarah was animated, recounting anecdotes from the event and sharing snippets of her conversation with Chris. Her excitement was palpable, infectious even, but beneath my smile, I couldn't shake the growing unease that Chris's arrival had sparked something unfamiliar within our relationship. Their shared passion for food and blogging quickly became a source of closeness between Sarah and Chris. It started with casual conversations about their favorite cuisines and culinary techniques, exchanged over cups of artisan coffee and plates of freshly baked pastries at local cafes. Sarah would eagerly share her latest blog post with Chris, seeking his feedback and insights. He, in turn, admired her creativity and dedication to her craft. They began collaborating on joint projects, from hosting virtual cooking challenges to attending food festivals together, their shared enthusiasm evident in every interaction. Their bond deepened as they discovered new restaurants, explored hidden culinary gems, and exchanged recipes late into the night. Their conversations flowed effortlessly, blending discussions about food with personal anecdotes and dreams for the future. Sarah seemed invigorated by Chris's presence, her eyes lighting up whenever she spoke about their shared adventures in the culinary world. I watched from the sidelines, torn between admiration for their shared passion and a growing sense of unease. Their closeness, while founded on genuine shared interests, began to overshadow the intimacy Sarah and I had once shared. As they spent more time together, whether virtually through their blogs or in person at food events, I couldn't ignore the lingering question: had their shared interests crossed the line from friendship into something more? Despite my doubts, I couldn't deny the undeniable connection they shared. It was a connection forged in a shared love for food, but one that seemed to be transforming into something deeper, something that threatened to change the dynamics of Sarah's and my relationship forever. It began with subtle shifts in Sarah's behavior that I couldn't quite ignore. At first, it was her increasing presence online, her fingers tapping away on the keyboard late into the night as she responded to comments on her blog or engaged in discussions on social media platforms. I would catch glimpses of her laptop screen filled with vibrant food photography, messages exchanged with fellow food enthusiasts, and sometimes a fleeting smile as she read a particularly flattering comment. Her enthusiasm for her blog was undeniable, but it seemed to consume more of her time and attention with each passing day. Our conversations, once filled with laughter and shared plans for the future, became punctuated by moments of distraction. She would absent-mindedly check her phone during meals, her mind seemingly elsewhere, lost in the world of recipes and culinary musings. I tried to dismiss my growing unease as paranoia, attributing her preoccupation to the demands of maintaining a successful blog. Yet there were moments when I couldn't shake the feeling that something had shifted between us. The intimacy we once shared felt strained, replaced by a growing distance that mirrored the digital divide between us. One evening, as I entered our home to find her hunched over her laptop, oblivious to my presence, a wave of apprehension washed over me. Was it merely her dedication to her blog, or was there something more drawing her into this virtual world? I struggled with conflicting emotions, concern for our relationship, and a gnawing suspicion that her online interactions might be more than innocent exchanges about food and recipes. As I navigated these turbulent thoughts, I couldn't ignore the nagging question that lingered in the back of my mind. Had Sarah's passion for her blog led her down a path that threatened to unravel the foundation of trust we had built together? Doubt gnawed at me like a persistent itch I couldn't scratch. As Sarah's preoccupation with her blog deepened, so did my unease. The subtle changes in her behavior, the lingering moments of distraction, they all pointed to a growing rift between us. Unable to ignore my suspicions any longer, I began to delve into her digital footprint. Late at night, when the house was quiet and she was lost in the glow of her laptop screen, I seized the opportunity to investigate. I started with her messages, the seemingly innocuous exchanges with other bloggers and followers. Scrolling through thread after thread, I searched for any hint of intimacy or connection beyond the realm of food and recipes. Each click and each keystroke felt like a betrayal of trust, but I needed answers. Her browser history became my next target. I combed through the pages she had visited, looking for patterns, looking for anything that might confirm my fears. Recipes, cooking techniques, and food photography dominated history, but scattered among them were timestamps that didn't align with her usual blogging routine. I scrutinized her social media interactions, dissecting every comment and like, searching for clues hidden beneath the surface. Was there a name that appeared too frequently? A conversation that seemed too familiar? The more I searched, the more tangled the web became. Every innocent interaction felt like a potential betrayal, every unanswered question a knife twisting in my gut. Yet, amidst the digital labyrinth, one thing became painfully clear. Sarah's world had expanded beyond our shared reality, and I was no longer sure where I fit into it. As the night wore on, the evidence I sought remained elusive, buried beneath layers of digital noise and conflicting emotions. I closed her laptop with a heavy heart, the weight of my suspicions pressing down on me like a leaden cloak. Tomorrow, I knew, would bring a confrontation, a reckoning that would either dispel my fears or shatter the fragile facade of trust that had sustained us for so long. The discovery came unexpectedly, like stumbling upon a hidden treasure trove buried beneath layers of digital clutter. It was late into the night when I sat down at her computer once more, my fingers dancing across the keyboard in search of answers that seemed to slip further from my grasp with each passing moment. In a folder tucked away in the depths of her documents, I found it, a hidden file labeled simply as Diary. My heart pounded in my chest as I hesitated, grappling with a mix of dread and desperation. With trembling hands, I clicked on the file, unsure of what I would find but unable to resist the pull of certainty. The screen flickered to life, revealing a digital journal that unfolded before me like a window into Sarah's innermost thoughts. The entries spanned weeks, each one a chronicle of emotions laid bare: happiness, frustration, longing. But it was the entries about Chris that seized my attention, each word a dagger that pierced through the fragile facade of our relationship. In meticulous detail, Sarah had poured her heart into the digital pages, describing moments shared with Chris with a tenderness that cut deep. She wrote of their laughter-filled outings, of stolen glances that spoke volumes, of a connection that transcended the boundaries of friendship. My hands trembled as I read, my mind reeling with disbelief and betrayal. How long had this been going on? How could she confide in a digital diary what she couldn't share with me face to face? The words blurred together, a cacophony of emotions swirling within me: anger, hurt, and a profound sense of loss. Yet, amidst the turmoil, a haunting truth emerged. Sarah's feelings for Chris weren't just a figment of my imagination. They were a stark reality, etched into the very fabric of her private thoughts. The diary lay open before me, a silent witness to the unraveling of our once solid foundation. As I closed the file, the weight of its contents settled heavily upon my shoulders. Tomorrow there would be no more hiding behind digital screens or evading difficult conversations. Tomorrow, I would confront Sarah with the truth, a truth that had been staring me in the face, hidden in plain sight all along. The hours dragged by in agonizing silence after uncovering Sarah's diary. Emotions churned within me, a turbulent sea of conflicting feelings that threatened to pull me under. Anger simmered beneath the surface, a fiery resentment fueled by the betrayal of trust. How could Sarah confide in a digital journal about her feelings for Chris, feelings that she had hidden from me? The sense of betrayal cut deep, leaving wounds that seemed impossible to heal. Yet alongside the anger, a profound sadness settled in my chest like a heavy stone. It wasn't just the discovery of her infidelity that pained me, but the realization that our once unbreakable bond had fractured irreparably. The intimacy we had shared, the dreams we had woven together, they now lay shattered, scattered fragments of a life I thought we had built together. Confusion added to the turmoil, swirling like a tempest in my mind. How could I confront Sarah about her feelings for Chris without losing myself in a whirlwind of accusations and recriminations? Was there still a chance to salvage what remained of our relationship, or had I already lost her to a connection that existed beyond my reach? As the night wore on, sleep eluded me, my thoughts consumed by the specter of what lay ahead. The digital diary, its contents etched into my memory like a scar, mocked my attempts to make sense of the shattered pieces of our lives. In the quiet darkness of our home, I grappled with the devastating truth that love, once so steadfast, could falter in the face of temptation. Tomorrow, I would face Sarah with my heart laid bare, confronting the harsh reality that our once shared future had diverged down a path I had never imagined. The decision weighed heavily on my mind as dawn broke over the horizon, casting a soft glow through the windows of our home. With a resolve born of desperation and a need for closure, I knew there could be no more postponing the inevitable. Sarah stirred beside me, her peaceful slumber a stark contrast to the turmoil raging within me. How could I shatter the fragile calm of this morning with the storm brewing inside? Yet the truth, however painful, demanded to be heard. Gathering my thoughts like shards of broken glass, I prepared myself for the confrontation ahead. The digital diary lay heavy in my pocket, a tangible reminder of the truth that had thrust itself into my consciousness. As Sarah entered the kitchen, her smile warm but tinged with weariness, I struggled to find the right words, words that would bridge the chasm between us or widen it irreparably. "Sarah," I began, my voice betraying a tremor I couldn't conceal. "We need to talk." The air between us thickened with unspoken words, tension coiling like a serpent ready to strike. Her brow furrowed, concern flickering in her eyes as she sensed the gravity of my tone. I took a deep breath, steeling myself against the flood of emotions threatening to overwhelm me. "I found your diary," I confessed, the admission hanging between us like a fragile thread. Sarah's expression faltered, a flicker of surprise and apprehension crossing her features, before she composed herself. Silence stretched between us, pregnant with unspoken truths and unanswered questions. The weight of my revelation hung heavy in the air, demanding acknowledgement, demanding clarity. "Chris," I finally uttered, the name bitter on my tongue. "Your feelings for him." Sarah's eyes met mine, her gaze unwavering, yet shadowed with guilt. The confession spilled from her lips in a rush of words tinged with remorse and sorrow. She spoke of a connection that had grown unexpectedly, of feelings she had struggled to reconcile with our shared history. I listened, my heart a tumultuous sea of hurt and understanding. The words echoed in the stillness of the room, each syllable a dagger that pierced through the fragile remnants of our trust. Yet, amidst the pain, a fragile hope flickered. A hope that honesty, however painful, could pave the way for healing and understanding. As Sarah's voice faltered, I reached for her hand, the touch tentative yet laden with unspoken forgiveness. The truth had been laid bare, the shards of our shattered trust scattered at our feet. At that moment, amidst the wreckage of our once unbreakable bond, I knew that only together could we begin to rebuild what had been lost to the relentless tide of temptation and regret. Our conversation unfolded like a delicate dance between truth and pain, a culmination of a week fraught with tense contemplation and silent accusations. The weight of Sarah's confession hung heavy in the air, casting a pall over the familiarity of our shared space. We sat across from each other in the dimly lit living room, the soft glow of the lamp casting elongated shadows that danced along the walls. The silence between us spoke volumes, laden with the unspoken regrets and unshed tears that threatened to spill over. "I never meant for this to happen," Sarah began softly, her voice a fragile thread weaving through the stillness. Her eyes, once bright with passion, now brimmed with remorse and uncertainty. "Chris, he understood me in a way I didn't realize I needed." Her words pierced through the lingering haze of disbelief, igniting a tumultuous storm of emotions within me. Anger flared anew, a raw ache that burned like a brand against my heart. "How could you not see how this would hurt us?" The words escaped my lips before I could temper their sharpness, each syllable laced with the bitter taste of betrayal. Sarah flinched, her gaze falling to her hands clasped tightly in her lap. "I was selfish," she admitted quietly, her voice barely a whisper against the weight of my accusation. "I lost sight of what mattered most, of us." Tears welled in her eyes, mirroring the ache that clenched my chest in a vice-like grip. In that fragile moment, the walls between us crumbled, leaving us exposed and vulnerable to the truth that lay bare between us. The conversation ebbed and flowed, punctuated by moments of raw honesty and painful revelations. We spoke of our fears and insecurities, of the cracks that had formed in the foundation of our love. Sarah's remorse echoed my own, a shared lament for the innocence lost and the wounds inflicted in the pursuit of fleeting passion. As the night wore on, the words became a lifeline, a fragile bridge spanning the chasm that threatened to swallow us whole. In the quiet intimacy of our conversation, I glimpsed a flicker of hope. a hope that with time and forgiveness, we could reclaim what had been lost to the shadows of regret and longing. The conversation ended not with resolution, but with a tentative understanding born of mutual pain and a shared determination to rebuild what remained of our fractured bond. At that moment, amidst the shattered remnants of our trust, we found a fragile solace, a fragile promise to navigate the uncertain path ahead together, one hesitant step at a time. The weight of Sarah's confession hung heavy in the air, a fragile admission that shattered the remnants of our fragile trust. We stood in our living room, the soft glow of the lamp casting long shadows across the floor, as she struggled to find the words to explain the inexplicable. "I have to be honest with you," Sarah began, her voice trembling with a mixture of guilt and resignation. "My feelings for Chris, they're more than just friendship. It started innocently enough, sharing a passion for food and blogging, but it evolved into something I couldn't ignore." Her words struck me like a physical blow, each syllable a dagger that pierced through the facade of our once solid relationship. The pain of her betrayal mingled with the bitter realization that the woman I loved had found solace in the arms of another. "I never meant for it to happen," Sarah continued, her voice wavering with unshed tears. "But Chris, he understood me in a way that I didn't realize I needed. Our conversations, our time together, it filled a void that I didn't even know existed." Her admission hung between us like a fragile thread, fragile yet unbreakable in its honesty. The silence that followed was suffocating, heavy with the weight of unspoken regrets and shattered dreams. Anger surged within me, a turbulent storm of hurt and betrayal that threatened to consume us both. "How could you?" The words escaped my lips in a hoarse whisper, the pain of her confession twisting like a knife in my heart. Sarah's eyes brimmed with tears as she reached out to touch my arm, a tentative gesture of remorse and regret. "I'm so sorry," she pleaded, her voice breaking with emotion. "I never meant to hurt you." The tears that streamed down her cheeks mirrored my own, a silent acknowledgement of the irreparable damage that had been wrought. In that fragile moment, amidst the wreckage of our shattered trust, I realized that forgiveness would be a journey fraught with pain and uncertainty. Yet amidst the anguish, a flicker of understanding emerged. Sarah's confession was not just a betrayal, but a cry for redemption, a plea for forgiveness that echoed the depths of her regret. As we stood there, enveloped in the quiet sorrow of our shared confession, I knew that our path forward would be fraught with obstacles and challenges. But for now, in the stillness of our broken trust, we found a fragile solace, a tentative promise to navigate the uncertain future together, one hesitant step at a time. I stood there in the wake of Sarah's confession, my heart torn between devastation and a strange sense of gratitude. The truth had hit me like a sledgehammer, shattering the illusions I had clung to about our marriage. For so long, I had sensed a distance growing between us, a gnawing suspicion that something was amiss. Sarah's confession confirmed my worst fears, yet it also brought a twisted sense of relief. Relief that the veil of deception had finally been lifted. As I retreated into the solitude of our living room, a whirlwind of emotions swept through me. Anger simmered just beneath the surface, a fierce resentment toward Sarah for betraying the trust I had placed in her. But beneath the anger lay a profound sadness, a sadness for the love we had shared and the future that now seemed uncertain. I paced the room, grappling with the torrent of emotions crashing over me. Betrayal echoed in my thoughts, mingling with a stubborn disbelief. How could Sarah have hidden her feelings from me for so long? How many nights had she spent engrossed in her laptop, exchanging messages with Chris while I slept soundly beside her? And yet, amidst the turmoil, there was a flicker of clarity. The truth, however painful, had brought an end to the endless cycle of suspicion and doubt. No longer would I wonder about the late nights and secretive conversations. No longer would I deceive myself into believing that our marriage was as perfect as I had once imagined. I sank into the couch, the weight of Sarah's confession heavy upon my shoulders. Tears welled in my eyes, a mixture of grief and rage. But as the storm of emotions raged within me, a small voice whispered in the recesses of my mind. Gratitude. I was grateful that I had finally confronted the truth, no matter how devastating it was. Gratitude that Sarah had found the courage to confess, despite knowing the pain it would cause. Gratitude that amidst the wreckage of our shattered trust, there was a sliver of clarity, a clarity that would guide me through the tumultuous days ahead. In the days that followed, I grappled with the decision that lay before me. Could I forgive Sarah for her betrayal? Could our marriage survive the seismic rupture caused by her infidelity? These questions haunted my every waking moment, a constant reminder of the fragile state of our relationship. But as I reflected on our years together, I realized that forgiveness was not just about absolving Sarah of her mistakes. It was about finding peace within myself, about letting go of the anger and resentment that threatened to consume me. It was about acknowledging that love, however flawed, had the power to heal even the deepest wounds. And so amidst the chaos of my emotions, I made a choice to confront my feelings head on, to sift through the rubble of our shattered trust, and rebuild what had been lost. The road ahead would be fraught with challenges and uncertainties. But as I stood at the crossroads of forgiveness and despair, I knew that I had the strength to choose love. For better or for worse, Sarah and I had embarked on a journey that would test the limits of our love and resilience. And as I looked towards the uncertain horizon, I knew that the decisions we made in the days to come would shape the course of our shared future. We decided to take a break, a temporary separation that felt like a weight lifted and a storm brewing all at once. The decision hung in the air between us, heavy with unspoken fears and hopes, as we each retreated into our corners of uncertainty. For me, it was a chance to grasp at the fraying edges of our once tight bond, to see if time and distance could weave them back into something stronger. The realization that I might lose her pushed me to confront my own shortcomings, the ways I had failed to cherish her, to see her as she deserved to be seen. She, on the other hand, sought solace in the solitude of her thoughts, grappling with the echoes of her own choices. The space between us became a canvas where she painted her doubts and desires, questioning whether the path she trod was the right one or merely the easiest. Days turned into weeks, marked by the absence of shared laughter and quiet evenings together. Yet, in that absence, clarity began to emerge like the first light of dawn after a long night. I found myself revisiting moments we had shared, the laughter that echoed through our home, and the warmth of her touch that lingered in my memory. In those solitary moments, I wrote letters that remained unsent, pouring out the depths of my heart in words that danced between regret and hope. Each letter was a confession, a plea for forgiveness, and a promise of change. Across the city, she immersed herself in the rhythm of her own life, a life that had once intertwined seamlessly with mine. The bustling streets and the quiet corners of cafes became her refuge, where she sought clarity amidst the cacophony of doubts that echoed in her mind. And then, one evening bathed in the soft glow of twilight, we found ourselves standing at the threshold of our shared history. The air crackled with anticipation as we faced each other, words unspoken yet understood hanging between us like a fragile thread. "I miss you," she whispered, her voice carrying the weight of all the words left unsaid in the silence of our separation. At that moment, I saw the vulnerability in her eyes, the raw honesty that mirrored my own longing. "I miss you too," I confessed, the words escaping me like a prayer answered after a lifetime of doubt. And in that embrace, we found solace in the understanding that love, in all its complexities, had survived this storm of our uncertainties. Together, we chose to rewrite our story, to mend the frayed edges of our bond with threads of forgiveness and renewed commitment. The decision to separate had been a crucible that forged a deeper understanding of ourselves and each other, a testament to the resilience of love that dared to weather the tempest. As we walked hand in hand into the uncertain future, we carried with us the lessons learned in the crucible of separation, knowing that our love was not defined by the absence of challenges, but by our unwavering resolve to face them together. And so, amidst the ebb and flow of life's uncertainties, we chose not just to endure, but to thrive, knowing that the decision to take a break had been the catalyst that led us back to each other, stronger and more resilient than before. After weeks of introspection and heartfelt conversations, Sarah and I found paths to redemption and reconciliation. The road had been rocky, strewn with the debris of shattered trust and wounded hearts, but amidst the turmoil, a fragile hope had begun to blossom. Our conversations were no longer filled with accusations and recriminations, but with a newfound honesty and vulnerability. We laid bare our fears and insecurities, acknowledging the mistakes that had led us to the brink of despair. Each word carried the weight of our shared history, a history that now seemed both fragile and resilient. "I'm sorry," Sarah whispered, her voice trembling with emotion. I never meant to hurt you." Her apology hung in the air between us, a tentative bridge spanning the chasm that had threatened to divide us forever. I reached out, tentatively, to grasp that bridge, to accept her remorse, and to offer my own forgiveness. "I know," I replied softly, the words a balm to the wounds that still lingered, "and I forgive you." In that moment, amidst the quiet intimacy of our reconciliation, a sense of relief washed over me. The weight that had burdened my heart for so long began to lift, replaced by a renewed sense of hope for our future together. We spent hours talking about our dreams and aspirations, about the lessons we had learned from our shared ordeal. Sarah's tears mingled with mine, a testament to the depth of our shared pain and the strength of our love. Slowly but surely, we began to rebuild what had been lost. We laughed together tentatively at first, but then with a growing sense of ease and familiarity. We rediscovered the joy in simple moments, a shared meal, a quiet evening by the fire. And as the days turned into weeks, I found myself falling in love with Sarah all over again. Not the idealized version of her that I had once held in my heart, but the flawed and vulnerable woman who had faced her mistakes with courage and humility. Together, we navigated the complexities of rebuilding trust. We set boundaries and made promises to communicate openly and honestly, to never again allow doubt and suspicion to fester in the shadows. It wasn't easy. There were moments of doubt and uncertainty, moments when the scars of our past threatened to reopen. But each time we chose forgiveness and understanding over bitterness and resentment. And so, against all odds, we found our way back to each other. Through forgiveness and compassion, through tears and laughter, we forged a new path forward, a path illuminated by the hard-won lessons of our shared journey. In the end, our story was not just one of betrayal and pain, but of resilience and redemption. It was a testament to the power of love, a love that had weathered the storm and emerged stronger on the other side. As we stood together hand in hand, I knew that our future would be uncertain and fraught with challenges. But I also knew that as long as we faced those challenges together, we could overcome anything that life threw our way. And so, with hearts full of hope and gratitude, we embraced the promise of a new beginning, a beginning born from the ashes of our past, yet filled with the infinite possibilities of our shared future. The journey we embarked upon, fraught with betrayal and heartache, ultimately became a crucible of transformation. As Sarah and I navigated the treacherous waters of our fractured marriage, we emerged not just as survivors, but as individuals profoundly changed by the crucible of our shared experience. The path to reconciliation was not linear, but filled with twists and turns, moments of doubt, and moments of clarity. In the aftermath of Sarah's confession, we faced a crossroads that forced us to confront uncomfortable truths about ourselves and our relationship. We grappled with the profound implications of trust and forgiveness, learning that healing is a process that cannot be rushed. For Sarah, the journey was a journey of self-discovery and repentance. She confronted her own vulnerabilities and shortcomings, acknowledging the pain she had caused and committing herself to a path of redemption. Her tears, once symbols of sorrow and regret, became beacons of hope for a future where honesty and transparency would guide our steps. For me, the journey was one of introspection and resilience. I wrestled with feelings of anger and betrayal, struggling to reconcile the woman I loved with the woman who had shattered my trust. But amidst the turmoil, I found strength in forgiveness, a forgiveness born not of weakness, but of a deep-seated desire to reclaim what we had lost. Together, we embarked on a journey of reconciliation, a journey that required us to redefine the boundaries of our relationship and rebuild the foundation of our marriage brick by brick. We engaged in countless conversations, each one a testament to our commitment to understanding and healing. We explored the depths of our emotions, unpacking the layers of hurt and resentment that had accumulated over time. Through it all, we discovered that vulnerability is not a weakness, but a strength. We learned to communicate openly and honestly, to confront difficult truths with courage and compassion. As we navigated the complexities of rebuilding trust, we uncovered the true essence of intimacy, an intimacy rooted in shared vulnerability and mutual respect. The experience fundamentally reshaped our understanding of relationships. We realized that love is not just a fleeting emotion, but a conscious choice, a choice to nurture and cherish, even in the face of adversity. We learned to prioritize honesty and authenticity, recognizing that true intimacy can only flourish in an environment of trust and transparency. Our values and desires underwent a profound metamorphosis. We reevaluated what truly mattered to us, not material possessions or societal expectations, but the simple joys of companionship and mutual support. We embraced a newfound appreciation for the beauty of imperfection, understanding that our flaws and vulnerabilities are what make us human. As we emerged from the crucible of our shared experience, we carried with us a renewed sense of purpose and commitment. Our love, once fragile and uncertain, had been tempered by fire into a bond that was stronger and more resilient than ever before. We embraced the impermanence of life, understanding that every moment is a precious gift to be cherished. In the end, our story was not just a tale of betrayal and redemption, but a testament to the enduring power of love. It was a story of resilience and renewal, of two individuals who dared to confront their demons and emerged stronger on the other side. And as we looked towards the future, hand in hand, we knew that our journey was far from over, that every challenge and triumph would only serve to deepen our love and strengthen our bond. For Sarah and me, the crucible of our shared experience became a catalyst for growth and transformation. It taught us the value of forgiveness and the importance of resilience. It reminded us that love, when nurtured with honesty and compassion, has the power to heal even the deepest wounds. And so, with hearts full of gratitude and hope, we embraced the promise of tomorrow, a tomorrow filled with endless possibilities and infinite love. As we walked hand in hand into the sunset of our shared journey, we knew that the lessons we had learned would guide us through the uncertainties of life, forever shaping the tapestry of our love story.